For me, I didn't have to think about anything. I just literally lived the best day of my life. There was no stress. There was no worries. I didn't have to think, has that happened? Is this been done? The team were always one step ahead of where my brain would think. So it was almost like I was a guest at our own day.
From the moment I got there, obviously a bit after Sophie, I was standing at the bar having a drink, and Joe and the team just came and found me out of a crowd, said, "We'll come find you when we need you," and they just done everything. I didn't, apart from getting me dressed, they pretty much did everything in between, which was amazing. I didn't have to think. At one point, someone was following me around with hair gel, fixing this little thing up. And they're just in the background, but they were always there, which was really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so good to hear. I do love having the groom and bride assistant. You know how they just kind of float and proactively take care of stuff all day. It's really cool.
They had drinks for us. They were fixing up my hair and I wouldn't even realise, or they were, like Dan was saying, kind of following him round. That was so good. That was a really good addition to the day.
Yeah, no, they weren't disruptive to the day at all. They were just part of it without you knowing they were part of it, but they were there every time.
It was so easy. Like, everyone kept asking me if I was bridezilla yet. And I was like, well, no, because every time I email, Jo would always, if she didn't have an instant response for me, she would have a response within a few hours. And even with the crew who are Indonesian, who, like, English is not their first language, I don't know what their background is in their careers, they still went above and beyond to meet whatever requests we were asking for or any information. So yeah, super easy. I didn't really feel like I needed to contact anyone that often. I mean, Jo might beg to differ, but because I feel like it was just, we would have a call like this, we would literally run through all the bullet points and the team just took care of it. So I didn't have to think about it again.
I thought everything was very smooth. We had our regular catch-up calls and it was option A, B or C, and we picked which one we want, and then they just ran with it and sent us images, inspirational bits and pieces. They really did take it out of our hands, but in a good way. We didn't have to...
We had nothing to give them, so they just created everything from their imagination to present to us.
I kind of just said, I like the colour orange, and then they made that work, and it was good. So, even when it come down to the flowers, we just picked, we said, we like certain flowers, but we weren't overly fussed. I don't think we was too much of a fussy couple, but they did make everything work. How we probably envisioned it in our heads that they couldn't probably even imagine sort of thing, which was quite amazing.
Yeah, you guys are, that's like kind of, for the team, I'd say the favorite bit is the creative element. So like when they're allowed to just kind of play with ideas and make it work, it's really fun. It's a really fun part of the job, Whereas like ordering sound gear, it's not that fun.
We kind of relied on the fact that that's what they've applied to do, and that's what they're good at, and that's their skills and expertise, and they really did use them for our wedding.
Oh, I think all of it, to be honest. Like, even going into the bridal room and physically meeting Jo was magical, I think, for both of us.
Yeah,
like,
even Lily was excited to see her because she's seen her on the screen so many times. She's like, it's the lady from the TV.
Yeah. But I think in one of our calls, or I think I emailed Jo and asked her like a picture from the photographer that we chosen on their Instagram, and I was like, I really love this shot, and I had done nothing in the terms of helping that shot because it was like the newspaper article and everything. And whilst I was getting ready, Jo was like, oh, we've got a surprise for you, and Athel went to the effort to make us one.
It was one each. It wasn't even the same. We both had, which we didn't realise till we came home, that we both had different.
And that wasn't what I was going for when I sent that email. I was just like, if they can magic something up, then amazing. But he took the time to make that special moment for us. And then, just everything, like having the drinks there. Like, we never had to look for a drink. We never had to think about if our hair was out of place. We had food given to us. We didn't have to go up and get our own food. We were told where to be, when to be. Just, I think the whole day was amazing because of the team. I don't think there was one specific bit. There was so many bits.
That's so good to hear. Did they dance at the end?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It might have been, no, I think it was Abdul maybe. He was obviously doing his set and everything because he was our driver when we did the testing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I think you might have dropped it in a call like, oh, he does DJing, and we were like, yep, done.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have him. And so they all got involved. But another thing about the photographers, in all of the shots, I mean, obviously they're professionals, but you never saw any of them.
So my dad's a photographer, and it's kind of, considering there was like 8 photographers, 4 team members, every single picture of us, they're not in any of them. And we kind of, when you think back to the day, like, where were they? They're like ghosts. So that was really impressive.
It's really funny because when I go to visit weddings, I'm constantly just like basically being pushed out of the way to get, like, because they're all really good. They're like, literally, I don't know how they do it, because there's so many staff at Bali weddings, right? It's really different to Australia. Photographers, videographers, and heaps of staff and catering staff. They're amazing. They'd just be like waving me out of the way all the time out of the background.
Rather than looking at the pictures, because I'm like, they must be there somewhere. And they just weren't. So you kind of get back and maybe we've imagined them, sort of thing.
Maybe it's just all in your mind.
I think they were just blown away, like, because it was a destination wedding. In England, you get married in like an old church and it's very traditional, or you get married in a barn. It's one or the other. So for us to have that beachside feel with like the most beautiful flowers and even eating and dancing outdoors. Well, I said to some people like, leading up to it, I'm like, no, we're outdoors the whole time. They're like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then when they saw it come to life, they were like, wow, this is really amazing. And for the fact that we chose every single detail, because I think they've seen pictures of other weddings with different lights and different dance floors and tables. They're like, oh, how come it's not the same as yours? And we're like, because we literally chose every single detail. Not that it's a competition, but we don't think anyone will beat ours.
No, but even people that were at the wedding said we'll never beat this wedding.
Yeah.
It's like the best wedding we've been to. Yeah, we had very good feedback.
That's awesome. That's so good to hear, right? Because it's also just a lot of effort. Like, I feel like all destination weddings go through that thing where people, like, it's kind of good that, you know, people self-select, right? Like, they really have to commit to want to come. But usually I feel like there's a massive gap between what guests imagine it's going to be like and then what it is. They kind of sort of just trust you guys. And then they get there and they're like, I've just had so many moments where the guests are like, it's the best day of my life. And they just, because compared to weddings in Australia, it's 6 hours of a function, you know, somewhere they're lovely, but it's just very different sort of energy.
Yeah, it's so different. And I think because they were setting up the wedding the next day, people were starting to see what kind of went in to making our day.
It's very. I was watching the guys put the string lights up the next day. It was very impressive just watching how they do it, what they do. The amount of effort and care they put into doing it was amazing. You know, they had it sort of picture perfect. Just they made it look real good. And
it's a credit to your team and the selection of vendors that you've got essentially for us to choose from. Like, I know that we could have come to you with anyone random and we could have booked them, but we had no idea the amount of effort that goes into building the day that we had, because we were never exposed to any behind the scenes conversations, which is obviously exactly what we wanted.
It's interesting that that's something that comes up all the time is, Bali weddings. Can you imagine the experience of, well, I mean, we get this call all the time, right? 3 weeks out from a wedding, somebody will just realize they can't quite handle all the organisation themselves as the bride or groom. But that sense of, imagine being on the day there and having to be like somehow responsible for the different teams doing stuff. Even people like Joe, who've just done it hundreds of times, it's super professional, still find it reasonably stressful. You know, like, it's not a low stress job, it's a big responsibility and everything's got to be right. There's so many moving parts.
Use the team. They know it best. They know the venue. They know the vendors. They know what looks good, what is good. Just, listen to the team, really.
And you want to have fun on your day. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself. Just, if you're doing a destination wedding, rather, you know that you're going to have it X amount of time out from the date. Make sacrifices in your life to pay that planning fee, because it will be the most memorable day of your life for doing it. Whereas if you don't, and you have to organise everyone yourself and deal with any potential mess ups or any obstacles that come across, you'll just ruin your own day.
That's really good advice, I think. Tell me a little bit about, how did your family and friends enjoy Bali as a whole, like as the whole trip, right? Like, not just the wedding, there's a bunch of other stuff. How did that go?
Well, it was the first time for a lot of the family and friends. When we did the tasting, we brought a few family members, and I think they had a little bit of a cultural shock when we first landed in Bali, and obviously you come out the airport and it's quite chaotic out and about. But then we stepped into BBG and they were like, whoa, this is another world. I think coming back for the wedding, they were like, right, everyone, don't worry about when you just leave the airport. It's going to be absolutely fine once you get in the resorts. But everyone said the people couldn't be more helpful, friendly. It's nice to obviously try different cuisines and everything like that. And you've got some of the most beautiful places in the world to visit. So all in all, everyone made the most of their trip, I think.